Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler, joined as always by DJ and Jason. Welcome into the cast, guys, and sounds like welcome in Jason's beer.
It's a beer, not the beer.
Oh, I see. Welcome in a
Don't
beer.
forget my cranberry Sprite.
Oh, and DJ's got a cranberry Sprite.
Cranberries. Oh, I didn't realize you had a urinary tract infection. That sucks.
What?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, cranberry is a natural diuretic.
That makes it seems like something a boomer would know.
What does that even mean?
Yes, Jason, that was a boomer thing to say. No one.
Only boomers know things.
Well, the only person on the cast who knew that you were supposed to use cranberry juice to go poop is the oldest person. You do the math, man.
Poop? you, what? You know, when you got a urinary tract infection, you gotta take a dump all the time. No, man, there's something.
What's a diuretic?
You specifically.
Does a diuretic not give you diarrhea?
Do you think It's a genuine question, isn't it?
No.
You're not doing a bit?
I'm not a doctor, man.
When you're sliding into second,
We went over this.
Wait another second, diuretic. Cha-cha-cha. All right.
Corbin, we get over this. You can just call him Dr. Man.
Just so everyone knows
I
while
fell
we're on the
asleep
subject.
in all my college science classes, and I barely graduated. But I'm a doctor compared to these fucking chunches.
While we were on the subject, I was correct last week about how they give shots, vaccines. And
That was like
Jason
3
was wrong.
weeks ago.
Whatever, man. In my mind, it's always recent because I was right and Jason was wrong.
You said they give vaccines in the butt, which is not true. They don't even do that on children. So you were wrong. You were more wrong than me, I feel.
I think. Are you saying everybody's wrong?
No, because then nobody's right if everybody's wrong.
That's right. If everyone's wrong, everyone
I was only 50%
right.
wrong because they give live attenuated vaccines intranasally, and they give non-live vaccines intermuscularly. So I was 50% wrong. You were 100% wrong because they never do it in the butt, not even on children. So
If our
you
eyes
were
aren't
twice
real,
as wrong as me, so then I was half right.
how can mirrors be real?
That's a good point. My fourth beer of the night is recommended to me by a friend of the cast and Twitter follower, Michael Barakovich, who asked me about Mas Agave, which is a founder's beer I drink sometimes on this podcast. It's an Imperial Ghost style ale. It's brewed with agave in
Ghost
tequila
Isle
barrels.
Ale? That sounds pretty spooky.
Goes? Nice goes, not ghost.
You said Ghost Isle.
You're
Ghost
right.
Island, that was a
Ghost
good
Isle
season
ale?
of Survivor.
It's like some Leonardo DiCaprio movie style ale. I'm a duly appointed federal marshal, and this is my beer. Give me my beer. Sir, you've been in a nut house for years.
I loved that movie. I loved that movie, man. Come on.
Well, I just spoiled the end of it if you didn't like it, so. So, like, sometimes people ask me, hey, I get Founders or Bell's or Dark Horse beer outside of the state of Michigan, but we don't have that's not part of our beer culture, and I don't really know if I should take a chance on it. If you have a question about some beer from the Midwest that I might know a little bit more about, hit me up. You know, I may not know beer when I know what I like, and I like Mas Agave. So cheers to you, Michael Barakovich. Thanks for the Twitter question, and thanks for being a friend of the cast.
Yep, appreciate it, man. Anyways, we've got a great show for you all today. Double Masters is out. We've got some...
It's not out. It's announced.
It's not out. It's
announced. Whatever, man. It's all
we
the same.
know it exists now.
It's all the same. The news is out. How about that?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, the news is
that's
out.
the thing
about
we
Double
literally
Masters.
can't argue
Salvage
with.
your transition.
I will. Anyways, we've got a lot of other fun stuff to talk about. We're going to go deep in the podcast later about what is happening to EDH cards and how it's different than how it used to be. But first, let's jump right on in to Double Masters. What do you guys think of this set? There's going to be double the rares, double the
foils,
fun, double the price,
double the foils.
double the foils. It's going to be the same price. It's that seems to be that $300 a box mark that we saw Ultimate Masters at, which of course has, as always, has led to spirited debate from the community over whether that is too much for a product that doesn't have a single fetch land in it. What do you guys
I
think?
think if you are going to say that it costs too much and the Amazon pre-sales are gone within hours, maybe you should reevaluate your position. You could say it's too much for you and maybe too much for the people that watch your YouTube videos, but ultimately it's not too much for everybody. And I don't buy the argument that you can only release so many products a year that aren't for everybody. That's not a good argument because like the stuff wouldn't sell out. Some stuff can be for people that just want to pay a little bit more, and you don't have to like that, but they're not taking anything away from you to give you that. They're still doing the same number of products for everybody every year. They're just adding more stuff on top of it to see what the market will bear. And so far, we haven't hit wallet fatigue yet.
Yeah, I mean,
people talk about. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one because there was a Reddit post recently that got shared around Twitter and all that. It was a graph displaying the number of products that had come out every year since sometime in the early 90s or something like that. And just how the graph had gone up and up and up until the past few years. I believe the final number for 2020 or 2019 was 22 total products. If you define product as like any sort of thing that Wizards has come out with, whether it be a signature spellbook of 8 cards or an entire master set or what have you. And there was a lot of people just going, wow, that's so many products. I'm so fatigued. But I mean, you also have to compare that to, number one, the player growth of the past 20 years and how the number of products scales to just the player base as a whole. And number two, just like the ability of Wizards to discern their players and what they want and how each individual player just wants a specific product, because not all, again, not this goes around a lot, but like not all those 22 products are for you specifically. We have commander decks, we have brawl precons, we have signature spellbooks, we have secret lairs. Like there's just so many different versions of everything for different kinds of consumers, and the most enfranchised player who is just who has their finger on the pulse of the Twitter, the Reddit, the Facebook, their LGS's Facebook, like the person who's 80% of Facebook feed is Magic. Like, yes, they might be a little fatigued, but like the average person interacting with Magic as a whole is like a guy who buys packs at Walmart.
You know who should be the most fatigued? People like us that have to learn 22 new expansion symbols while we're sorting.
Yes.
No kidding, right?
People have to buy 22 new products like thousands of dollars at a time and bust all of it and sort all of it and list all of it. We should be the ones who are complaining about fatigue, but we're not. It's good. People are getting what they want. So if we're not complaining, why would someone who like only is forced with the option to buy this and nothing else?
Look, what I'll say is this, while we're on the subject, it can be very tiring as a player to constantly be told, if you don't like this, it isn't for you. And while that can 100% be true, you have to be really careful about that messaging. Because if you just keep telling people you don't like this product, it isn't for you, well, at some point, you run the risk of somebody saying, well, this just isn't, nothing that is coming out seems to be for me. I guess this isn't for me. That's the thing. You have to have a lot of appeal. So we all agree in principle with the concept of not everything is for everybody, and the player base, I think, is basically being forced to accept that because Wizards is not letting up. They're just releasing more and more. But at the same time, you do have to be careful that you don't go too far. And for Wizards especially, and given the priorities of the Magic community, it seems like they have a tougher line here to walk than most. If there was the normal version of Call of Duty and then there was the $300 version of Call of Duty with a special box, and they came out with that version, because they do premium versions of it. Listen, but suppose that happened every 6 months with 20 different things, and if somebody was like, oh, I don't like this, and you're like, oh, well, it's not for you, it can just get old, right? So in Magic specifically, the player base seems to be very vocal about obviously the prices and appealing to whales, as Wizards is doing. So at the very least, at some point, it doesn't matter what reality is. It matters what perception is. And perception is that Wizards is just catering to whales now, and they don't care about the average player. And look, we think that's false, but we can sit here and talk about it, and we can broadcast this out to our audience, but somebody at Wizards has to deal with the perception problem, not the reality problem. And whether that's messaging or not, we don't know, but that's what the sentiment coming from the player base is.
what they're doing to combat that is by virtue of tripling the amount that goes out, you're tripling the chance that something that's not for somebody will appeal to them anyway. When you talk in Call of Duty, that's one new game every 2 years. So as much as like, well, that's not for me. But they're like, well, we didn't take away the one game every 2 years that you get. People are still maybe fatigued, but with Magic sets, if you're used to getting 7 sets a year and now there's 22, those 15 extra sets, there's got to be something in there that appeals to you. And if not, you're still getting the 7 sets you got before. That was, the 7 products that were for you.
Right. And there's
you have 15 chances to like something else.
And there's 100%, I think, a misconception. I think to a large extent, it's a misconception among the player base that because Wizards is doing X thing, it means that they're not doing Y thing, or that they don't care about Y thing, or that Y thing was hurt because of X thing, right? And that's not how it works. The fact that they're coming out with all these supplementary products doesn't mean that they didn't test companions. Like those groups are not the same.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously, whatever the problems with companions were, there are problems that came along somewhere, but it's not because they're releasing double masters or
right.
whatever.
And I mean, the vocal minority is always just going to be the head of the snake, regardless of the opinion that's being told. Like the vocal minority is always going to be the disliked one because, like, we got master sets back in the day. And they were great for reprints. We got Modern Masters 1, we got Modern Masters 2015, we got Modern Masters 2017, we got Iconic, we got Masters 20... And people were like, whoa, that's too many master sets. You gotta cool it down there. And then Wizards canceled master sets after they made UMA, which was also great for products. And then a year of no master sets, and then the other side of the coin's like, wait, we need master sets again, and now here comes double masters. So, I mean, it's damned if you do.
Yeah. And
I think all they can do is just ignore what people are saying and listen to what they're doing. And unfortunately, that's kind of what you got to do. Yeah. There's a really good TED Talk from Malcolm Gladwell that I reference a lot, where he talked about, I think it was Ragu or Prego or one of those companies, like asked people what kind of spaghetti sauce they're like. They're like, I like a robust, traditional Italian spaghetti sauce. And everybody just said, okay, that's what people like. They want traditional Italian spaghetti sauces. And then Prego was like, screw this. We're going to make 25 different spaghetti sauces and test them on people.
Yeah.
And like they get like hundreds of different responses. Some people are like, I like this one. They realize that you got to present people with a variety of choices and they will actually vote with their dollars. But if you ask Magic players, are like, I want 5 sets a year, just for the competitive, blah, blah, blah. What they say is one thing, but if you give them 25 choices, you will be amazed at what people are like, oh, I never thought I would like ugly lower back tattoo. I never thought I would like ugly lower back tattoo Secret Invasion or whatever, but like it's great. I love it. They never thought they would like Commander 2020 after not liking Commander 2019. You don't listen to what people say they want because A, people don't know, and B, some people are just like posturing, and C, people can't anticipate everything that you could come up with. So as much as like they have to take into account what the people who are most vocal are saying, they also have made a shitload of money by ignoring them. So
that's exactly correct.
Sorry if you don't like the fact that they've been very successful ignoring you, but
the lifestyle or the life cycle of a Magic set and the discourse around it at this point seems pretty well worn to me. They announce it. They announce this, you get a price, whether they announce it in the past or now you get pre-sales or whatever. People complain. See a thing. People complain. Actually start getting spoilers for the set. Set's incredible. Set's amazing. That's all you hear about. Set comes out for 2 weeks. Best limited set ever. Great. Love it. Set's been out a month. This mechanic's broken. The limited format sucks. This has ruined competitive play. It's all over. Magic sucks. Then you start it up with a new set and new spoilers. It's just clockwork. Now, obviously, the three of us have our very own bubble, right? The Magic Online community bubble. And like DJ said, the guy who goes to Walmart and picks up some packs, who buys bulk lots of Magic cards because they just want to own a lot of Magic cards. The people who are buying these $5,000 instant or these 5,000 count instant collections from us. These people don't care. They're not on Twitter. They don't see the complaining. They're not going to draft the format 20 times until they hate it. Like, it just doesn't matter. And that is why Wizards has to ignore so much of it. Yeah, but that sucks because then it feels like they don't care.
I can't pull up a source right now, obviously, but I remember seeing a Mark Rosewater blog post or something of the like where, and this may have changed in the past few years, but
Yeah.
it was the most popular Magic format is quote cards I own.
Yeah.
That's not Commander, that's not Standard, that's not Limited. It's just like person who goes to Walmart, Target, gets birthday gifts. Oh, girlfriend knows that they played this game every few weeks, so they get them a fat pack. Like that's just like, and decks are built around that. And there's minimal, not none, but there's minimal interaction with the community and the developers and all that at large. I mean, the YouTube is probably the closest interaction they get with the community, but it's just like clicking on YouTube videos that appear in their feed that an algorithm feeds them.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I build EDH, and I'm one of the most enfranchised percentages of Magic players, so like I can't even fault that. I'm like, cards I own. Oh no, that's exactly how I built my Gonti deck.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's legit. That's how everybody builds Magic.
So the thing with Double Masters is it's coming in at what looks like $6.99 a pack. That's the price on Magic Online. Previous Master sets, we started cheap at $7. They eventually got up to $14 a pack with something like UMA, but then we came back to Modern Horizons. We had a $7 booster pack. People seemed really happy with that. Now we're at the $300 a box price for this, but it's 24 packs and 2 rares. So you're getting 48 rares for this as opposed to
minimum 48 rares.
Yeah, at minimum. Correct. Right.
Rares.
That's right. As opposed to something like UMA where you didn't. So in terms of the prices, it might actually be more generous as some of the things they've done recently. And that's not to say that, you know, this is, I'm not going to sit here and try to justify what Wizard charges for their products. They charge a lot of money for little pieces of cardboard. I get it. But it just doesn't seem like this is the product to get it up in arms about when it actually seems pretty reasonable. That's my take.
I think there are people that get up in arms over every product for YouTube clicks. That's what I think.
I mean, like, there's also the fact that like buy 2 get 1 free is a time honored sales technique, right? Like,
yeah,
it's called the BOGO, and it was perfected by Payless Shoe Stores, a chain of shoe stores that is now out of business. Bad example. Okay, but like maybe it will work for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the
Magic is also like a physical card game surviving in 2020, so like,
yeah,
they have bucked the trend already.
Yeah. Look, I will say,
you know why? It's because they have a walking ballista that looks like something from a BattleTech game.
Yeah, that's does. It does. Yeah, that's the other thing we didn't even touch on. There's a million new Secret Lairs coming out. The birds were cool. I like that they had cosplayers show off all the new Secret Lairs across social media. That was neat. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of products. You just have to consider if you're this deep into Magic and it's too much for you, we understand how you feel. But as has been true since the beginning of Magic, the casual players who Wizards can barely even track because they don't go play F&M is their biggest market.
And they show off their ankle monitors. That's another thing, too. They burrow underground. They throw their cell phones into the river. It's impossible to track these people. They're eating out of dumpsters. They're buying Magic cards on the black market using Bitcoin. We just can't track these people. Kitchen table, that's a flat surface where their satellite drones can get you. We need to go underground and play in a puddle.
Yeah, I mean, well, either way, the point is Wizards is going to do what makes sense for them as a company, and they have the data to back that up. So just keep in mind, no matter what side of the debate you're on, and I want to stress that I personally at least understand this costs too much attitude. I get where that's coming from. You just have to understand that this is the way it is. This is a business. It's how it's always going to work. And what rando guy at Walmart wants represents a lot more of their business than what you, super engaged Magic person who can name every 22 sets from the past year. So that's that. Let's move on. Let's move on to Sudden Substitution. This is our new segment where we take a expensive EDH card and give you some affordable replacements. It can be pretty difficult these days to get some of these spiking cards, and Worldly Tutor really fits that bill. I mean, Worldly Tutor is great. It's a 1 mana instant tutor to the top of your deck for a creature. It's a very powerful card. However, It's also spiked up. It's something like $50 right now. So if you're somebody who wants that kind of effect in your deck, but you cannot afford a $50 Worldly Tutor, we have some budget suggestions for you. Jason, why don't you go ahead and take the first one?
So a card I really like as a replacement for this is a card that doesn't really function like Worldly Tutor all the time, but it has the same mana cost. It's a card called Traverse the Ulvenwald from Shadows over Innistrad. Early in the game, when you don't have Delirium, you basically just search your library for a basic land card for 1 mana, so it's like a Lay of the Land or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when you have Delirium, which there are 4 or more different types among Magic cards, you got like a creature, instant, sorcery, artifact in your yard. Then all of a sudden, Traverse turns into a card where you search your library for a creature, reveal it, and put it in your hand, not on top of your library. So it's actually, it functions a little bit better than Worldly Tutor, except in like a deck like Mayel or something when you would want to put it on top.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's hard for any deck to hit Delirium relatively easily. You just...
Commander, yeah.
Yeah, I
Easy.
mean,
you crack a land.
Sakura Tribalder. Like, green gives you a lot of chances early in the game to put stuff in. So, like, if you're gonna like turn 1 tutor for a Birds of Paradise, yeah, Worldly Tutor's better. But for the most part, you're trying to get some high impact mid game. Delirium's pretty easy to get, and I think putting the card in your hand where someone can't mill it off the top, which is something I really love to do to people. I love it when you play a Worldly Tutor and then I somehow like use a card that lets me play the top card of your library or like put it in your graveyard or something like that. I just love messing with people.
I've had a lot of tutors. Games with Emily where she plays Mesmeric Orb in her Phoenix deck, and people will just be like, "Oh, end of turn, Vamp Tutor from a thick." Oh,
oops.
Oh,
rip.
Okay.
Yeah. Best part of Traverse the Ulvenwald, $3. DJ, what do you got?
So, like, so let me Mind's Dilation you because you played Worldly Tutor, I guess.
Yep. I went in the opposite direction, and by opposite direction, I mean I picked a 6 mana card, which is
okay,
a little up there, but I think
similar to Worldly Tutor in that regard.
There's a reason Worldly Tutor got bought out. It's a very good card.
There's a lot of different things about this card, but it's one I don't think is on a lot of people's radar. It's Brutalizer Exarch from New Phyrexia. This is a card that it's a 6 mana 3/3. So Brutalizer Exarch comes with a choice. You can either search your library for a creature and put it on top, just like Worldly Tutor, or you can target a non-creature permanent and put it on the bottom of somebody's library. And that means you can tuck Gaia's Cradles, you can tuck Cabal Coffers, and that's sometimes just better than destroying it. I mean, you can Life Loam something, you can Splendid Reclamation that thing back, but Brutalizer Exarch is a very easy and versatile way to just tuck problematic permanents while also being a functional Worldly Tutor. It is 6 mana, but I mean, creatures are a lot easier to put into play than you think.
It's 6 mana and like 60 cents. If you don't have a Worldly Tutor, it's a great option. I'll follow up here. I'm going to start with Eladamri's Call. This is a green-white card, but it is 2, and it puts a creature directly into your hand. So a lot of green decks that want a Worldly Tutor effect typically play white anyway, so it's pretty reasonable in that sense, and it's really an incredible card for what it does. 2 mana straight to your hand. Don't have to get it milled, don't have to get it Mind Dilation, any of that stuff. But if you need to keep it mono green, I have an option as well. Fierce Empath. 3 mana, 1/1. But when it's a battlefield, you can search your library for a creature with CMC 6 or greater, put it straight into your hand. So you'll notice kind of a theme. A lot of these go straight to your hand. So you are giving something up. It's not instant speed, it's not 1 mana, but you're getting something in return, and that they're a little more powerful, or in the case of Brutalizer Exarch, have a lot of flexibility attached to them. So there you go, everybody. If you're looking for a substitution for a $50 Worldly Tutor, check him out. And as a reminder to everybody, we want to shout out our sponsor, Channel Fireball. If you like any of the cards we're talking about today, whether it's our Sudden Substitution, our Breaking Bulks, our Pick of the Weeks, or any of just the Commander stuff we're talking about, please go check out channelfireball.com. Also, they're running a really strong buy list promotion right now, so it's a great time to buy list any of those extra cards over to Channel Fireball if you're looking to sell. So let's jump right on in now to everyone's favorite game, where the rules change every week and the points don't matter. Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
Breaking bulk. I've got a conspiracy. Take the crown. Black rare.
Oh, Jesus. Why you like this?
What do you mean? It's a rare. Rares have been a time-honored tradition on this podcast segment of ours.
Something that makes you the monarch.
That's highly specific, Corbin.
I don't
What
know
a
the
guy.
names of cards on that set, man.
Well, the only one that does that is Custody Lich.
There you go, Jason. It is. This
Oh,
is a
see, we
card
did
that I find in a lot of bulk rare piles. It is just something that people got in their draft. They played it once in the one game of Conspiracy they played, and then they tossed it aside.
And they forgot.
This is very pickable. A lot of zombie commander decks play this. It's just I don't actually think it's that strong of a card personally, but I mean,
No, it's not.
The numbers don't lie, and the numbers say
When
that
you become
I will...
the monarch, target player sacks a creature. It's
pretty
fine.
medium. Yeah. Well,
You're
here's the
pretty
thing.
medium.
Well, that's definitely true. Here's the thing, though, and you might notice as by how I was able to guess what this card might do. Anything that makes you the monarch has a better than average chance of not being bulk. So every time I flip through
like
cards,
Legacy is like, oh, it turns out Palace Jailer's really
Yeah,
good.
it was
over
very
the
good.
aggro deck. So like drawing extra cards in an aggro deck's fine. Yeah, Monarch stuff's good. I like Keeper of the Keys.
Mm-hmm.
Some people argue that's more extra medium than Custody Lich.
I argue that I don't play Keeper of the Keys in my road deck.
Monarch is just a cool mechanic, though.
Remember, I
So-
spent 3 years being like, why isn't the stupid dinosaur more expensive? It doubles your mana when you're in the Monarch, and then it like shut up. So
Yep. That
It
card
was
is
ju- it's
Regal
just-
Behemoth. Yeah.
But
Regal
back when you were
Behemoth.
saying that, it wasn't a dinosaur, Jason. It was pre-errata.
Oh,
It
is
was a
that what
beast.
happened? And then
That's a good point. That's probably why.
Then Zakema came along, and I'm just gonna pronounce
Yeah,
Zakema
Wait,
a bunch
is
of
it-
different
is it
ways
Zak-
to make Corbin upset.
Exactly what happened.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing now. I said it funny during the precast warm up, and Corbin's like, "Man, you said a card wrong." And like, is there a wrong way to
Wait.
say a made up fake dinosaur that never existed? I don't know.
Yes.
Burgeoning
Yes.
is a real word. Zekema is not, man. Garuk is not a real person. It's fine. Like,
Do you ever, look, when people mispronounce cards around me, I'm never just like, you're wrong. I mean, in this case, DJ and I both laughed at you when you said Zakama.
You did.
But,
You both laughed at me.
yeah,
Did I say Zakama?
in person,
Yeah,
in
you
person, what I do is I try to bring the card up again in conversation and say it the right way as a subtle hint that they've been saying it
So you
wrong.
talk
Yes,
to them
that's
like a
how I
Domino's
parent my
employee.
4-year-old. That's how I parent my
So
4-year-old.
you talk to them
is
like a
that-
Domino's employee, Corbin.
Yeah, because otherwise you're
So
just the guys.
is
like,
Zakama
well,
the right way to
actually,
say it?
It's
And
called
that's-
Zakama.
Is Zakama the right way to say, and I've been saying it wrong? Is that what's going on here? Domino's employee?
You know, that's a reference to an After Hours that no one listening to this cast.
Well,
Very
hey,
few people listen to this
But
cast
if you
know.
don't get the after hours to Corbin berating a Domino's employee and you would like to know what's going on,
Berating.
berating's not too strong a word. You can go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and give us $20 a month, which is as little as $4 or $5 an episode. You can have access to the after hours, which is all the unrated stuff that does not make the podcast. There's lots of it. There's some swears, and there's some people saying some silly stuff, and there's Corbin just laying into a minimum wage employee. So if you want to hear all that kind of stuff,
Laying into.
plus have access to this handsome drinking glass, the exclusive playmats, the tokens, all kind of stuff, the access to the spreadsheet where we put in our picks of the week, and Breaking's bulk the night we record the podcast. We make it rain on our $20 patrons, but there's a tier for everybody. Go
I'm
ahead.
just saying,
What?
Corbin sounds a lot like Karen.
It's true. He's a male Karen.
Berating, laying into. I am the nicest person. And one time I have to call because an order is wrong. Come on. Go listen to the After Hours. Go subscribe to the Patreon. You can hear
If
the
he
whole
did
thing.
not want to be
Alright,
condescended to, he should not have made my wings incorrectly, said Karen.
Jesus.
All right,
So
so,
that-
Anyways,
I've
go ahead.
got a
Go
fun
ahead,
game
DJ.
to jump on you guys real quick.
What
is the
okay.
most interesting card mispronunciation you have heard in your time playing this game?
It's Targamoif.
Burgunging.
I don't think cast members count.
Oh,
Just in the
man.
wild, in the wild.
You did spring this on me. This is going to be a hard one to remember.
Someone said Bayou one time.
Bayou.
Bayou.
Like, people get Garrick wrong all the time.
Well, is it
People
Garuk
saying
or
Ravinica.
Garrick?
I told you about that one, Corbin. I was the one that told you
No,
that.
that's happened. That's a real thing. That's happened at home too.
Ravenica,
People saying Ravenica. It kills me.
It's fake. It's not a real place. It's fine. It's like, I can't believe he doesn't know it's not
It's
Ravenica.
adding an extra letter.
It
All
never
words
existed.
are made up. Look, when I was a kid, I always called it Ratatat instead of Rattata.
When you were a kid,
So
you weren't like 15 when Pokemon came out?
Jason. I was in the second grade when Pokemon came out, Jason. When the Pokemon cards came out in the United States.
12.
When I was at GP Calgary last year, I heard Bedevil.
Bedevil instead of Bedevil? That's a good one.
Do you guys
I like
have any
that.
Bedevils?
No,
Oh,
but it's
man.
like, it's the word
Excuse me,
bed.
sir?
It's the word bed plus the word evil. Like, that's not... Like, you
Bed
can
evil.
see the string of logic there. Bedevil. It's... What about medieval?
I guess so.
Right? Right?
Yeah, sure, man. Sure.
If it was Bedivil, he might even be correct.
Yep. If it was something it wasn't, it might be something.
But if you add a letter, he's a genius.
Yeah. All right.
Medieval times.
Speaking of geniuses, I'm gonna be a genius when you all can't guess this one. A gate crash uncommon.
And
Multicolor.
Duskmantle Guildmage.
No.
Is it a charm?
Is it a charm or a guild mage? Because that'll narrow down real fast.
It is not a guild mage.
So
It
it's
is a charm.
Golgari charm, Orzhov charm, Simic charm. Which one is it? Dimir charm?
Gatecrash specifically had Boros, Simic, Orzhov, Dimir.
If it's Boros charm, Corbin can just get the hell out of here because that was like a $4 card when it was printed.
Boros Charm is still like a $3 card. No, it was Simic Charm. Simic Charm is 50 to 75 cents. People forget about it. I mean, Gate Crash is just stuffed full.
I thought you were going to be like,
good
no, it's Gore
uncommons,
Clan
but-
Rampager or something cool. You're like, no. Cartel Aristocrat's a buck. Why not that one?
Is that card really $1?
No, probably not.
It's 30 cents, actually.
Well, it's 4 for a buck. That's
Yeah, you're right about that. Jason, what's your breaking bulk? Let's hear it.
I have a very, very recent card, and this is going to blow
Okay.
some minds. It is a card from Throne of Eldraine, and it is a basic land type.
What does that mean? A basic
It's not a
land
basic
type?
land, it's a basic land type. Its card type is the same
Mystic
as a basic
Sanctuary?
land. Yeah, the card's nuts, right?
I mean, yeah, the card's broken.
I gave you guys a lot of info. I'm getting Mystic Sanctuaries in bulk, and that's not correct. If you are bulking out cards from Throne of Eldraine, which you should be doing right now, retain maybe that whole cycle. Because Mystic
no,
Sanctuaries,
just Sanctuary, I think.
look,
The red one is kind of the red one is in like polymorph decks sometimes because it can make a token. The white one is just trash. The green one makes a food token, I think.
I don't bulk out non-basic lands.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I hold on to them, and if they never do anything, fine, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
not like, my house isn't full of magic cards, full to burst. Like, I'm not like those people in hoarders, and my wife's like,
I am.
either I will leave or your Zendikar comes into play, tap, gives you 1 life, uncommon land stack, goes, you can't have us both. And then I'm like, oh, I'm clearly mentally ill. Why is the Discovery Channel pointing cameras at me and laughing? Until that day, I'm not going to change my policy of retain all non-basic lands and just put them in boxes and just forget about them.
All right.
And
Until Jason is on what channel? I mean, what channel was that on?
I don't know. I just know that
TLC. I think that was on TLC.
So they put some hoarders on Netflix, and I just like just devour.
I've watched some hoarders.
Corbin,
Yeah.
just like-
Corbin, does TLC mean tiles from lots of ceiling? Because that's what happened to Jason's cards recently.
That's what happened to.
Boom,
That's what happened to all my
boom,
non-basic
boom.
lands. Yeah. If you look in the background, that ceiling tile in the corner back there, it got wet, and then it fell on my sorting trays. So I not only lost some bulk, some true bulk like Throne of Eldraine bulk. Probably had some Mystic Sanctuaries in there. But it soaked a box of my silver bordered cards, and I had to fish out all the scissors lizards and try to dry them out.
Rough luck.
But like I lost some lodestone baubles and some other stuff in my sorting tray, so it was a sad day.
It is sad.
It hit the first loading tray, which was like revised through Mirage, so that was bad. But you know, water happens. It happens to Corbin. Mine came from above, his came from below. Like you never know what's going to happen in this magic game.
It's a wild world.
But look, I'm going to lose some Mystic Sanctuaries in the next flood, but until then, I'm going to retain all non-basic lands, and
there
like
you go.
I'm going to look like a genius when it's like, oh, the gingerbread house that gives you a food token is suddenly $1. I'm going to look like such a
man,
genius.
I guess so. Well, the speaking of bulk and things that maybe shouldn't be bulk, let's talk about commander cards. Now, back in the day when we started this podcast, I don't think we talked about Commander at all. I think we said casual players
we
suck,
made fun of people who played EDH.
Eventually,
it took me a couple of years to come around.
Yeah. So, but then for a long time, we were one of the very few groups of people, and honestly, Jason in particular was one of the few people really focusing on Commander and EDH finance and all that. Fast forward to 2020, and that's all anyone cares about in the finance game. You know, you used to be able to wait till cards would get cheap, pick them up long term, so go up long term. These days, we're not seeing any waiting on Commander staples. So, Jason, do you want to go ahead and tackle just a little bit about that, expand on people what we mean and what this means for everybody moving forward?
So if you look at something that was very obviously an EDH staple from the get-go, and that was something that like everybody who knew anything like immediately identified.
So what's a good example here?
Well, something very recent, like within like the last year or two, something like Divine Visitation.
Okay, so Divine Visitation, the 5 mana enchantment that
5 mana enchantment
would turn any tokens you get into 4/4 angels with flying vigilance.
Creature tokens.
Right, any tokens become.
It doesn't make Smothering Tithe an angel machine, but like any creature tokens that would come into play as a 4/4 angel instead of like whatever they were before. So. Usually that's better. Usually you're like turning 0/1 plant tokens into monsters, right? So right. Divine Visitation was... Go ahead.
I would say this card came out of the gate at like $10, and then it did what we basically expected to do. It plummeted in price.
It was like a $10 pre-sale, and it pretty steadily tanked down to like $4 or $5 market price between October 2018 and January 2019. So what we expected, which was the price to be at its absolute lowest at peak supply, which was about when Ultimate Masters came out and like maybe a couple weeks before people started drafting the next Ravnica set, right?
Right.
But even at like $4 for an imprint mythic, that's like, you know, everything in the set was pretty cheap at peak supply. And when we mean peak supply, we mean like the second people stop drafting it and start drafting something else.
Right.
Because as soon as they start drafting something else, you're not getting people at the LGS. Like, it's not getting opened again. So, something like Divine Visitation rebounded way faster than we expected.
Yeah. So, like in the old days, this card would, if it was $4, great. It'll be $4 until it rotates out of standard. And I have a year and a half to pick them up at $4 because this is a long-term EDH play. Instead, within 3 months, it had gone from 4 to 8. And now it's
within 1 month. Within 1 month. Between December 15th and January 10th.
And now it's a $15 card.
4 to 8. Yep.
This is not how it used to be. What changed?
I think it used to be like, it's like you pick up EDH stuff at rotation. That was something we talked about on this podcast a lot. But I think 3 or 4 times as many people are playing EDH as used to.
At a minimum, I think.
For sure, yeah.
I think everybody who plays Magic has an EDH deck for one.
Pretty much.
And I think everybody who used to play EDH now has 10 decks.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And if you want Divine Visitation, you're like, oh, this is a thing I like. This goes in Reese, but like, oh no, what if I want to play Gavi or something like that later? So like, people are buying more than one copy of this stuff. You know, it used to be like I have a black deck and a blue-white deck and a red-green deck and, you know, whatever. But now it's like, I personally have 7 decks that are either Simic or Teamer.
That's...
So guess how many Cryptolith rights I have?
Yeah, Jason likes to play Simic decks. Is it 7?
It's 7 Cryptolith rights.
It's 7. Yeah, I thought it might be. What's really interesting here is that we looked up some of the biggest hits we could think of over the last couple years in Commander. And one of the things I found most interesting is we look at a pretty clear staple, kind of in the same vein as Divine Visitation, Smothering Tithe. You know what? It released in January 2019. It was right around $4. Honestly, it never really even got cheaper. It didn't go down a lot. But then,
even when it was in
right before
the Brawl deck.
Yeah, right. So then right before War of the Spark came out, it would have climbed up to $9. Today, it's a $15 card. This card is still legal in Standard. It is an in-print Standard rare that is $15. And as recently as a couple years ago, this was absolutely unheard of. And the crazy thing is, it's still sort of unheard of for Standard cards. But for Commander cards, no, we're seeing it. We're seeing Narset's Reversal. That one took a little longer. It took 2 set releases instead of 1 set release. But now it's almost a $7 card. It's crazy how these cards that are just kind of universally good in Commander, how much faster they're climbing. And I went back and looked at a little bit older of one, Heroic Intervention. I thought this would be a good case study here. It did not do this. It went multiple sets before it started to see any price growth at all. And that was in 2017. So what that tells me is that when they say 2020 is the year of Commander, they mean it. You know, the Commander's been building and building and building for a decade, and now we're to the point where it is the most relevant thing financially, almost, right? Like, I guess competitive play as a whole, but I think Commander, in terms of one singular format, is probably more important than anything else right now.
For sure.
Commander is so important in MTG Finance that, like, a couple of weeks ago, someone wrote a post on the EDH Finance subreddit that says, I don't know, guys, I think Commander might be sort of important in EDH.
Yeah.
And when a subreddit that's, like, 5 years behind the times, like, notices something like that, like, you know it's for real.
Yeah. Yep. It's, it is a very interesting phenomenon. And, you know, from a perspective of people like us, on the one hand, this used to be a lot of easy money that we can't make anymore. On the other hand, as is always the case, it just shifts. Maybe you can't get in on the new cards at a super cheap price because they're just not necessarily going to do that, although it seems like they're going to grow anyways. But maybe now the game is in the reprints, like DJ has talked about before. Maybe it's in some of the extra products that people don't know about. There's always going to be an opportunity somewhere, and it seems like everybody's in on Commander these days. You're not going to be able to pick up those EDH staples forever in Standard. So pull the trigger on them at that peak supply. I mean, it's a good thing if you think a card, whether you think it's going to be a super staple in Commander or not, if you just have a card you want from a Commander deck and you want to know when to buy it, 2.5 months after it's been printed. That's the best time.
Right when they start to boost suggest something else. And like Moto Redemption's not the thing it used to be. So like that used to, you know, attenuate the price spikes a little bit, but
it's basically irrelevant now.
You're not going to be able to wait for rotation on something. And if something takes till rotation, look, don't ask me. I'm wrong a lot. Like,
rotation isn't even a thing anymore. You know, imagine Divine Visitation is still in Standard. Smothering Tithe is a rare in Standard. It's $15
with a reprint.
In a set with shocks.
With shocks.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
With a secret reprint, but still. Something like Lifecrafters Bestiary. Everyone's like, when's that going to go up? I'm like, soon.
It's gonna happen.
And then it started to go up for like 2 weeks, and they're like, it's reprinted, idiot. So, you know what?
I mean, but that's just an opportunity to get them.
Yeah. Oh, good. Then the price, if I buy twice as many copies, then the price I paid for all of them overall is halved. That's what you do, right? If you pay $1 on a bunch of cards, right? And you're like, I paid $1. It's going to go to $5. And then it gets reprinted. It's 50 cents. You're like, well, if I buy twice as many at 50 cents, then the average price I paid 75. Then when it goes to $2, I'm a genius.
And then,
so
no. And then when it goes to quarter, the average price you pay is even lower. And then when it goes to 10 cents, the average price you pay is even lower.
And you're like, stop reprinting Black Market. For the love of God, you don't need black. Bloom Tender's $70 and you're putting Black Market in every set. Knock it off, Wizard.
I have 1,000 exotic orchards.
One time, give us Training Grounds, you idiots.
Seriously, I think the one that best demonstrates that whole frustration is for me, it's Sanguine Bond Exquisite Blood. Sanguine Bond, it not only did it get the reprints.
They're going to be 75 cents and $75.
Not only, like Sanguine Bond not only got the reprints, that Exquisite Blood didn't. They
It got a
literally
rarity shift.
they downshifted it to uncommon and reprinted Sanguine Bond for like the third or fourth time at uncommon before they gave us any reprint of Exquisite Blood. And now Exquisite Blood is $40 and it can no longer go into a commander
Because
set.
Exquisite Blood will
Come
ruin
on,
every format. It's in.
come
They're like, we can't print
on.
that in M21. It'll ruin M21.
It's just crazy to me. Anyways, that's great. Let's move on while we're on the subject to pick of the week, because my pick of the week follows perfectly in this vein.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, so in that vein, I'm looking at a card this week that's been seeing a lot more commander play. It's up there on EDH Rec as some of the cards that have seen the most play recently, but Bayburrow Elder. It's a card that came out in Throne of Eldraine. It's $2 right now, and I think it's probably going to go because this is, remember, we talked about a set or two. These cards, they hit peak supply, and then they start to move up. Well, it took 2 sets for Bayburrow Elder, but it is starting to inch up, and it's gone from about $1.50 to about
Wait, has it been
2.25.
2 sets since Throne?
Yep.
No. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Uh,
Maybe I
Quarantine's
am
done
a
a number
boomer.
on you, bud.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Theros and then Ikoria.
Arrows in a core. No, Thrones. It's so recent. Oh boy.
Yeah. So, anyways, Faber Elder at $2. I love this one. It's great. I mean, sure, reprint risk is always a thing, but this is the it's almost like Bloom Tinder. Bloom Tinder is $1 billion. Faber Elder is $2. So if you have a green and white in your deck, you might want to play this, and either way, you might want to look at it as a $2 pickup.
I'm really surprised because I feel like one of us called this at like $1 on the spreadsheet, but we went and looked and no one's mentioned this. So
Well,
maybe
if
that
I
was
had to
something
guess,
we said in the Discord.
well, look, if I had to guess, we talked about it when we did the set review, right? I mean, we know what the card is. It's just now's the time to go buy it. It's hit the bottom. It's started to rebound a little bit. It's 50 cents off the bottom, but that 50 cents doesn't matter by the time it's done climbing.
Well,
we found the bottom. Now you
So-
get in.
So I looked at the 2019 spreadsheet, and Jason picked it on September 23rd, which according to Jason is like 3 weeks ago. So I don't blame him for.
That's in boomer time. Now that's
How
that's
could I
closer
have
to a
picked
year
this
ago.
in September 2019 when Throne of Eldraine came out in March of 2020? Ask yourself that.
Yeah. Wow. Also, Throne of Eldraine was released on October 4th, 2019. So it truly was an impressive pick. Anyways, I'm happy having this be my pick this week anyways, because now's the time to buy it. This card has bottomed out. It is starting to climb a little bit. We're up in that, like we talk about on this podcast, it goes up 2 or 3% a week. It's been doing that for a month. Now's the time to get in.
Yep. My pick of the week is based off a set that people forgot existed, and that is Mystery Booster Retail Edition.
That's true.
Mystery Boosters were all the rage back when Magic Fests were a thing. They were very, very popular. The prices hadn't really gone down while Magic Fests were still happening because the Retail Edition hadn't become available yet. And so all the foils that came out right when the pandemic hit, I think everyone just sort of forgot existed. Like, there's a lot of Mystery Boosters.
That's this got lost in the shuffle for sure, just like my son's birthday. So sometimes that stuff happens.
There's a lot of retail edition product of Mystery Booster, I think, just sitting at home, like on people's desks where people crack their boxes or were unable to draft them because of the pandemic and the quarantine. And so I think this is just a set that people forgot that they can buy cards from. And Alchemist Refuge is one of the most popular commander cards that was in this product. And it had crept up to like $7 or $8 for the Avacyn Restored one before it got hit. And now you can buy
Alchemist Refuge is the Simic card that allows you to cast things with flash, right?
Yes, it is the Simic Winding Canyons, but you can cast anything, not just creatures. And so the Mystery Booster version is $4 right now, a little between $4 and $5. And I think that this just stunted its growth. I mean, this was on its way to 10, and I don't think it's going to stop.
It's going to get there one of these days anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
All right. Well, Jason,
I got one. Would
what do
you
you
like
got?
me to do mine?
I got so confused for a minute. Yeah, just cut that up.
This
dude.
got hit with
Good.
multiple reprints, and for whatever reason, the price increase was delayed. This didn't really start to go up until Urza Lord High Artificer was picked in Modern Horizons. When that came out,
Artificer is definitely how you would say that word.
Yeah.
Not artificer.
It's a made-up word,
so-
Corbin.
take off the R. How is that pronounced?
Corbin, it's a made-up word.
the R. Take off the R. How's it
Shh,
pronounced?
shh, shh. You think things like artifacts just exist in this world, Corbin?
Okay,
It's
hold up.
made
I
up.
went to Google. Google actually says it's artificer.
What?
Oh, okay.
Google
So-
says it's artificer.
Okay, so artificer. We did it. We
That's
asked
terrible.
Google.
I like both yours and mine more than what Google says. It's
Well-
like bogle boggle, right?
Yeah. Aren't
just-
glad
everyone
you brought
knows it-
Google into
yeah.
this to make us both sad, you idiot?
Everyone knows it's bogle, but everyone refuses and says boggle anyways. That's how I feel about artificer now. I'm never saying artificer. That's so dumb.
Artificer.
That's like such a no. I'm out. All right, what is your pick, Jason?
Why are they laughing? What did I miss? Go to patreon.com/brainstorm brewery and you'll find out.
All right, there
Um,
you go.
So I have a card that its price went down obviously after a few reprints, and it kind of took a while for it to go back up. I think when Modern Horizons came around and they printed Urza, this was a card that was played a lot in conjunction with Paradox Engine and also with the card Dramatic Reversal.
Yeah.
This is of course Isochron Scepter.
Mhm.
So it went down to like $5-ish, but then it went up to like 16. Then went down to like 10, and it's kind of done going down, I think. The price is already starting to creep up a little bit, and we love out those reverse J-shaped graphs
We
that
do.
tell us we're halfway through a U-shaped graph. I think
Yep.
between 16 and other 16, maybe 20, this $10 buy-in is the best we're going to do right now. We're not buying in at 5, but I think we're not buying in at 20.
You're right.
So
I think
I
that's
like-
crazy with all these printings that it's still just climbed like that.
Isochron Scepter's it's an unfair Magic card.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of dumb blue stuff on it.
Well,
Yeah.
I was introduced to Magic by somebody putting an Orum's chant on it.
Scepter
That was
Chant,
fun.
that was yeah, that was.
That
a
was
legit thing.
yep.
You could even pay the kicker.
Yep. And for those who don't know, Orum's chant I think prevents people from casting spells and skips their combat if you kick it or something.
If you kick it, they can't.
yeah, and if you
attack
put it under a scepter, you can still do the kicker. So they handed me a Kamigawa block Soul Shift deck and started playing Scepter Chant against me. But hey, that's how I learned to play Magic.
Well, hey,
if you ever
learn to play
question
Magic
why-
under those conditions,
If you ever question why I have an Azami deck, might
Yeah.
explain a thing or two.
I mean, look, it almost doesn't matter where you put it on an Isochron Scepter. I was putting like Magma Jet on an Isochron Scepter, and it was still
Yeah,
pretty
it's
broken.
just great.
Like you put a Brainstorm on it, and it's like, oh no, I didn't take an extra turn, but I kind of did. I think if you buy Scepter at 10, you're going to be glad later. I don't
Yeah.
know that they're all that likely to reprint this anytime soon.
It's a weird card to reprint.
It hasn't been printed since what? Ultimate Masters?
It was in EMA.
No,
I think.
Eternal Masters.
Eternal
It's
Masters,
been
right.
printed. If there's a promo, an F and a
Hourglass
promo.
thing.
Yeah, there was an Eternal Masters dual deck and a From the Vault Relics printing of it. All
And
of
then-
which are more pricey than the original
Well,
Mirrodin version.
I mean, that FTV Relics one's a Pringle by now, so good luck trying to play with that. It's not even curved uniformly, like the top right and bottom left corner are trying to meet each other now.
Jason, I hope that's not true because I have just several From the Vault Relics sealed in a box and they've been there for 8 years. Like, hopefully my relics are okay.
Yeah, probably. Your house doesn't get any moisture in it. So
Yeah,
fine.
fortunately.
It'll
All
happen
right.
to you too, DJ. When you buy a house, you're like, oh, look at these guys not living in an apartment. All right.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I was planning on
You're-
buying a house this year before the
Before you got
apocalypse
pandemic.
happened.
Yeah. Well, better luck next year, buddy. That way, as soon as you get a house, everything will go wrong. Though I think we lived in our house no more than a month before it had flooded.
I didn't have a mystery safe that was empty though. You Al Caponed everybody. I never
I
Al
did.
Caponed
I
anybody in
did.
my
I
house.
did. We had a great mystery safe. I wasn't the safe on Reddit from back in the day where I'm like, what's in the safe? But I did legitimately have something just like go like actual viral on Reddit because I had a picture. I found a safe underneath the carpet after the carpet flooded from the plumber poking a hole in the pipe.
Did you put anything in the safe?
No.
Well, that's your next mistake.
Why?
I'm trying to remember.
You got a free safe.
I feel like I wasn't home when it happened, maybe. And All I know is it was closed. I wanted to put something in it, but it had already been closed again before I got home or something.
How did
I
they,
honestly don't remember.
Didn't they
it's been like
open
8
using
years.
a method where they would write down the combination for you?
I don't believe so, no.
Because
it was like we didn't have access to it again.
So it's like an old guy like Donald Sutherland or somebody is the old safecracker, and then he's got like a daughter played by someone like Charlize Theron, and
that checks
he's like,
out.
You gotta open the safe by touch, and she's like, no, I got high tech equipment, and then her high tech equipment breaks, and she's like, oh, I gotta open the safe by touch. So like maybe one of those two people was in your house, and then they opened your safe.
What is this? Is this Italian Job? Is that what that movie was?
Now You See Me 3?
It's part of the Now You series. It's
Okay.
now.
I see. Okay.
Now
Because
you-
there is
now
a movie.
Now you.
No. Hold up. No, get out of here, man.
Now you look who's opening safes.
No, stop.
Too.
The Italian Job, 2003 action thriller. Safecracker John Bridger, played by Donald Sutherland, is keeping all the gold for himself. The rest of the team, including Mark Wahlberg and Charlize Theron.
I thought it was.
Man.
An Ocean's movie.
Come on, dude.
I
I've seen that movie.
I thought I was reciting the script from an Ocean's movie. That's how little I care about any of that shit.
The Italian Job. For
The
those
Italian
curious.
Job.
Also
That was
had-
the one where they got double crossed by Edward Norton, right?
Yeah, like I honestly don't remember much of the movie, but it's got a good cast: Ed Norton, Jason Statham, Charlize Theron, Mark Wahlberg, and Donald Sutherland.
That was Jason Statham, right? When they're like, "Oh shit, we don't need Bruce Willis anymore."
This
do
was
we?
2003.
Jason Statham is bald. We don't need Bruce Willis at all. Like,
Yep.
yeah, good.
Well,
He
there
can
you
go
go.
do a movie with Kevin Smith. Bruce Willis. Yeah.
We need him for the 16th Fast and Furious.
Yeah, that's right, saving him.
I saw the trailer for Hobbs and Shaw and just assumed it was a fake movie like the Machete trailer. I was so surprised when that was an actual movie. It was just so over. I'm like, even by Fast and Furious standards, this is a little over the top.
It was, yes.
I mean,
even by Fast and Furious standards.
At least the Machete reference brings this back full circle to Magic, right?
That's right.
Because he's for some reason
That's right.
they're like their most famous person.
What's the guy's name? I don't
Danny
remember.
Danny
Trejo.
Yeah, yeah. He did the
He
commercial.
signs trusty machetes and eBays them.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
He doesn't need to do that. He just does.
Anyway, everybody, that's it for us
You don't
this
know
week.
that he doesn't need to do that. Like that Spy Kids money is running out soon.
Spy Kids funny. That's probably the most profitable thing he's ever done. Spy Kids. You might be right.
He was in the Pickle Rick episode of
He was
Wait,
in
what?
Harold and
Really?
tell
Kumar.
you,
He was in Harold
he
and Kumar
was-
Christmas.
Oh
he
my!
was a jackal.
Oh my God, you're right.
He was the voice of the jackal.
There you go. Well, everybody, thank you, as always, for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. Come back next week for all your magic-related news, your finance-related news, and I guess your Danny Trejo-related news. We've got it all. Thanks for listening.